Hello world, Dano here, stacking paper as always. Today we're going to do something fun. We're doing a tier list. This is going to be a tier list of all the books I read before I started the channel. Or, well, not every book I've read, but, the ones that are in recent enough memory, or even if they're old, if I just, still know how I feel about it, I put it up there. But yeah, because I love, who doesn't like ranking shit? It's so much fun. I just do it with my friends all the time, so might as well do it through my backlog. Um, Also, because like a lot of these books, like I kind of wish I had started the channel before I read them, so that I can do reviews and stuff. And I might reread some of these as I get to them, because some of them are like the first book in a series that I just never continued. So there is a chance that these books will get reviewed at some point. But for now, I'll just keep it simple. I'll tier rank it. I'll say my little blurb about it, geek out about it, or shit on it, because there's some stuff on here. There's some stinkers on here. Um, I don't think many of them are. Why does it say RC? Okay. Anyways, sorry, that was bothering me. But yeah, in general, the ranks. S tier, I'm gonna try my best to not crowd the S tier because I know there's so many books on here that I could put S. But I'm gonna leave this for like the real the shit that like changed me, the real hard hitters. A is gonna be amazing books all throughout, very minimal issues. Uh, B will be I liked the book, or I really liked the book, but maybe it had like an issue here and there. Um, but nothing like that's gonna completely make me not like it. And even C, I would say C will still have some books that I like. It'll just have enough problems that I can't ignore. Or maybe it was just middle of the road. Maybe it was just like this was fine. And then D will be books I just legitimately despise. D for despise, nice. Um, or maybe like just like super letdowns. We'll see. I'm gonna have to argue with myself as I do this. So we'll see where they end up. So what am I gonna do first? I'll just start with maybe a super obvious one. Dune. Um, yeah, this book is like I don't even know what there is to say about Dune. It's peak. It's just peak in every way. It's top tier world building, amazing philosophy, religious allegory, the inner world building of every chapter, starting with a passage of a real world writing, like real world writing in that world, and just a I won't even say like necessarily a satisfactory ending because you could argue that the ending is actually quite unsatisfactory, but I don't think so. I do think that the first two books kind of feel like one thing almost, like you kind of need to read both. But as a self-contained thing, and especially coming out as early as it did, 1964, I think 1964 or 65. Either way, it's yeah 65. Crazy ahead of the curve. Easy S tier. That's come on, come on. All right, next. Where is he? Foundation. Isaac Asimov. A classic. Um, Definitely has legendary status for a reason. Just if I have a gripe about Foundation, it's that yeah, the characters are really boring, but that kind of is a staple of hard science fiction, especially like early hard science fiction. Like this was written in the 50s. Like you gotta cut the boy some slack. But the actual premise of just like mapping out the future of humanity, um, based off of this one scientist's not even scientist. I don't even know what they call him. He's like a mathematician slash soothsayer. But either way, like it can be dry. I'll give it that. It can actually definitely be kind of feel like you're reading, like a washing machine manual at times. But I think it's solid. Um, A or B is the real question. I'll put it in A for now. For now. We'll see how long it lasts there. Okay, Tear Bear, Terry Pratchett, where are you? Where's Weird Sisters? Come on, Dano. Come on. You know what? We'll do Color of Magic first. Fuck it. I guess we'll go in order. Color of Magic, Discworld, Terry Pratchett. Easily the funniest writer ever, I think. I've never laughed harder than reading Terry Pratchett's work, specifically Discworld. And this is the first Discworld novel. I will say, though, this first one kind of sucks. More than kind of sucks. It actually really sucks. Sorry, Terry. But you could tell he hasn't really figured out what he was doing with Discworld. So, although it's very funny, there is just, like, the plot is so meandering. It's kind of just Rincewind running around Discworld to different places to be like, hey, look at all these different areas, trying to, like, show as much of the world as possible, because it's not a long book. It's very short. But it doesn't help that Rincewind is also just such a shit character. He's just this wizard who just doesn't want to be going on any adventures. He's just like, I wish I could just sit at home. He also sucks at magic. So it just doesn't lead to a really enjoyable reading experience. Two Flowers, an amazing character though, so I'm happy he's around, but it's not enough to carry this book. This is oh, that feels so bad. That feels so bad, but it's just so true. I'll just do Light Fantastic while I'm at it. Yeah, maybe it's a little better than Color Magic. Maybe. I don't know. They both kind of suck. Light Fantastic is pretty much just part 2 to this story. This is one story, which goes against basically everything else that happens after in Discworld. Everything is mostly self-contained after that, although there's like different sub-series within it, but you can pretty much read them all as their own book. But these two are intrinsically linked, and it does not help that they both suck. Light Fantastic is like minutely better, but they both kind of suck. Let me just find Weird Sisters, because I know it's got to be here somewhere, because that's one of the better ones. Did I just not put it here? Wow, that would be an actual tragedy. There we are. Frick, I'm so blind. So Weird Sisters, this is the first Witches novel in the Discworld series. Absolutely one of the best ones, I think, of not just of the Witches, but of all of them. This is essentially a retelling of Macbeth, but with hilarity, and it's actually like Inception. It's a play within a play. So it does have like these multiple layers, but man, some of the powers that the witches have, like Granny Weatherwax, is just amazing. Because they do have real magic, but most of what the witches do is like, they call it headology, but it's really just psychology. So they get into people's heads, but they're not actually doing any magic. They're just talking to people, and people think that they're so powerful, but they're just really good at reverse psychology, essentially. But yeah, this is A for sure. For sure. I don't think Foundation's going to last you very long, now that I'm looking at it. Okay, now we're getting into some top shit. Mistborn, The Final Empire. This is easily... I don't even have to think about that one. This book is like single-handedly the torchbearer of modern fantasy renaissance. Mistborn is goated. It is just holy crap. This book reads like a movie. Every action scene feels like you're watching, like it's so well described and well choreographed. But not just the action. So like best magic system, amazing world building, quick, snappy humor and dialogue, and also very dark at the same time. It's weird. It totes this fine line of dark and hopeful at the same time. But yeah, this is, come on, guys, it's Mistborn. Like, it's the best. Gunslinger, first book of the Dark Tower series. Doesn't even really feel like a book 1. Kind of feels like a book 0. It's more of a prologue than anything. You just got what's his name? Starts with an R. It's not Roderick. Roland, that's his name. Just trudging across this kind of a multiversal desert. You don't really know where he is. You just know he's trying to find this tower. You don't really know why. It just is what it is. And he's chasing this guy, the Man in Black, who's also headed toward the tower, and he has to get there before him. And anyways, he runs into some weird situations, mutants, kids, people that died that somehow ended up there. A lot of shit. Plot's kind of all over the place. It's dark and enjoyable and creepy. I'd say like this book is more atmosphere than anything. But I did enjoy it. B for now. Okay, come on. What's next? Ooh, I know what's next. Hitchhiker's Guide, and we'll get a restaurant while we're at it. If I can find it. There we go. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Douglas Adams. We want to talk about, okay, this is the second most funny writer. Tara Pratchett's still the best, but Douglas Adams is the OG. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is just like a landmark in science fiction because I think anyone could read this. It's so accessible because it's so funny, but it also explains some like pretty big philosophical concepts in like really tightly written packages. And apparently this was actually a radio play before it was even a book. I did not realize that. So this is actually, there's performances of this on like British radio from like the late 70s before he ended up writing the book, which is just honestly incredible. I didn't see that being a thing, but yeah, it's a thing, and it's really funny. But yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide. Ooh, like I want to put it in S. I really, really want to put it here. But I think the first one's A. I think Restaurant at the End of the Universe though actually might be an S. We'll see if it gets kicked down, if S gets too crowded. But sequel, that's better than the original. I will say it continues the same trend, but I think this book is S tier from one scene alone where they find themselves stranded on this planet, and this planet is populated by the remnants of a human race from, I don't know if they're from Earth, but they're from some other part of the galaxy. And there were 3 ships that were sent to this planet, and 2 of them crashed, and only one of them made it there. And of the 3 ships, so one ship had all the like the brightest minds, the smartest, the super geniuses, and then one ship had like all the workers, and then the third ship, which is the only one that survived, had all the middle managers, literally like middle management, essentially people that don't do anything. And this whole planet is populated by just these people who are all trying to tell each other what to do, but nobody there has the skills to actually do anything. And it is honestly just like such a valid critique on modern society, and it just fucking floored me. That alone is enough to make this S tier. Top shit. Easy money. Okay, now we're getting into some fantasy. Let's get these 2 out of the way. Where is Where are you, Christmas? Great Hunt, Great Hunt. Just put all these up here. Come on, Great Hunt. Damn, I might need to get my eyesight checked because I am terrible at finding these. There we are. Okay, Eye of the World, Robert Jordan. First book in the Wheel of Time series. Probably have heard of it before. Show is very meh. But the books are fantastic. I will say, though, this first book, it definitely, you feel the Tolkien, the waves of Tolkien. It's extremely Tolkien-esque. Like, it's, farm boy gets told he's the chosen one, has to go and on this adventure to go fucking save the world from the massive Dark Lord, yada yada. You've heard all this shit before. But what I do like about the Wheel of Time in general is the characters have a much more realistic reaction to these things. As opposed to someone like Bilbo or Frodo from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, where they pretty much just accept it and just go on this adventure. I mean, except for Bilbo. Bilbo really doesn't want to go at first, but he gets wrapped up eventually. But with this series, like, all the characters, they're just kids. They're teenagers, and they react like that. And the entire first book, Rand al'Thor, the main character, is just like, I'm not this guy. Like, I don't know who you guys think I am, but that ain't me. And that kind of actually continues for the first few books, but Robert Jordan modeled this after, his experiences of Vietnam and seeing the kids going there, and because they were just fucking kids, drafting like 18-year-olds and shit. And just like the realistic reactions that you'd have from being thrown into that kind of experience. So, but Eye of the World, it doesn't really shake the chains of Tolkien. So it is very derivative, even though it is very good. I'm going to put it in B. I'll probably put it above Gunslinger, yeah. Yeah. Great Hunt, however, this is where he just completely breaks free of it. Clearly, the publishers realized that this guy knew what he was doing. Eye of the World sold really well, so they said, "Yeah, you can just take the story where you want." Yeah, this brings it to a multiversal level of holy shit. The Great Hunt is actually a brilliant book. It's really just a heist book. With a fantasy overlay, and you get a lot better world building. You get a ton of different cultures thrown at you, and the way that the geopolitics start to spread out, you get to see that the White Tower and the Aes Sedai, they have different agendas. They're not one unique thing. Yeah, it's a Great Hunt. Like, might be S, but I'll put it. Ooh. I'll put it at the top of A for now, because I think this is the second best Wheel of Time book that I've read so far. It's it's perfect, and like, it's very well paced. I think it has a much better pacing than the first book, and it also just doesn't feel like a Tolkien clone. So that's always nice. Ooh, should I just do the? I'll come back. I'll come back to Wheel of Time. Lord of Light, Roger Zelazny, one of my favorite authors. He has this sense of whimsy while talking about these really big philosophical themes. And Lord of Light, quick premise overview. Essentially, the reincarnation of the Buddha gets put into this guy named Sam. Well, he calls himself Sam. He has a longer Hindu-y name, but and essentially the gods of the Hindu pantheon rule above the world in this like satellite, and they just oppress the people on the ground. And it's a very like, it's sci fantasy, which is almost all Zelazny's stuff has some element of science fiction and fantasy. But with this one, you really don't. It's hard to separate like what's magic and what is just technology, which again he does a lot, but in this one it's really ambiguous. And the timeline is really, really fucked up. Like, the story is not chronological in any way. But it's very enjoyable. I don't remember this one as much as I would like, but I do remember really enjoying it. Not perfect, though. Is it A or is it B? I think it's A. I'll probably put it here. Yeah, that sounds about right for now. Okay, let's just run through all the dunes now. Let's just get these out of the way. And where's the last one? Okay. Dune Messiah. When I first read it, I actually liked it better than the first Dune. I realize now that that's kind of blasphemy. But it's just, Messiah just really finally kind of wraps up, the Paul Atreides arc, you want to say. So it almost it does feel necessary, because the first book, I mean, is it even really spoiling it now, because like the movies are out, I'm pretty sure most people have seen it, but like at the end of the book, where he's gonna just go declare war on the whole universe, and then it just ends. Like, it literally just ends with him on the throne, like, holy shit, I'm about to just ruin this whole universe. And it's such a cliffhanger. And Messiah just really, like, actually, you see the repercussions of the decision that he makes to take that throne. And it's a much quicker book. It's much shorter. It's very well paced. And I don't think I can put it as better than Dune, because this book wouldn't exist without the first Dune, so that's kind of unfair. I also don't know if it's S. Yeah, that's where Messiah's going. Children, however, Children's my personal favorite. That might be a hot take, but seeing Paul's progeny and how actually crazy it gets, and mostly because it's a very Alia-centered book, and she's probably my favorite character in all of Dune. She's so complex and just so tragic. I don't know, it feels like such a complete story. You get to see so much more of the outside of Arrakis, like the great houses and other stuff that they're doing, which is what I felt was really lacking from the first two. It's just very centered on Arrakis. Like, you have all these great houses, but yet it just seems like they all do nothing. They exist, but you don't really get to see them interact. Outside of the Harkonnens, you really don't get to see the other houses at all. And Children, it's the same thing. You still don't really get to see much of it, but you at least get to see a little bit more, which I liked. And the climax is just, it's brilliant. It is probably better than The Great Hunt. Probably like it more than The Great Hunt. Is it S? I'll put it S for now. I'll put it in S for now. God Emperor, however, really did not fuck with this book. I thought it was going to be incredible because of the setup from the last book. And, like, it is really cool. The concepts are really awesome. You get to see the return of certain characters that are just that you just didn't see coming. And it gets really deep in the weeds with philosophy, for better and for worse. But man, it's slow as fuck. It's terribly paced. I really wasn't attached to the new main character, Siona. I could give a shit about her. I think I gave it like a 6 when I first read it. So, is it worse than Color of Magic? I mean, at least these, you know what? At least these books are quick reads. This is a fucking chunker, and I did not enjoy it. Sorry, Dune fans. Rest in peace. Finally. We get to one of the best books on here. Talk about ripe for a reread. Jade City. I was so pleasantly surprised by this book. Man, a modern fantasy masterpiece, truly. Mistborn level. I think I actually like this more than Mistborn. That might be crazy to say, but it's Godfather with fucking magic. What? And it's not crazy busted magic either. It's very practical. It's very grimy. It still involves like literally martial arts. It's like a gritty Hong Kong kung fu action movie with magic and mafia tones because it's about these warring families, and it has like this like the Cosa Nostra vibe. Oh man, it's holy crap. I need to read, like, I've had all 3 books on my shelf for like years now, and I've only read the first one, and I loved it so much, but then I just stopped and read other shit. So I will definitely be reading this hopefully soon. Before the end of the year would be nice. I could do a reread of this and then just read the other 2 because holy shit balls, this is top tier. And she's Canadian. Fonda Lee fucking rocks. Am I gonna leave Dune at the top? I don't know. I really don't. Yeah, okay. This is fine. I'll do some rearranging at some point. But yeah, Jade City. Go read that shit immediately. All right, might as well get the other two Misty Borns out of the way. Or are you? Well of Ascension. Do. Did I not put it up here? How stupid would I have to be to not have Well of Ascension up here? Oh wow, no, I think I just didn't. Did I just blank on Well of Ascension? Shit. Okay, yeah, I'm stupid. Anyways, where would Well of Ascension go? Second Mistborn. Probably a B. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, man, yeah, Foundation's a B. Sorry, Foundation. I don't think you deserve that slot. Okay, Well of Ascension, since I'm an idiot and I already started recording, I don't feel like redoing this. Probably a B, probably around here somewhere. I think it's solid. It definitely gets somewhat of like setting fatigue because it's really only set in the one city and it's under siege the whole time. It's way more political, much more intrigue. So I can see that part. It does feel slow at times. I think it has a very satisfactory conclusion. I think, shit, what's his name? The male love interest. Elend? Yeah, Elend, that's his name. He finally becomes like a way more prominent character and does a really good job with it. So, it's probably going to be bottom A, top B. Okay, that's what we'll say. And then Hero of Ages, Book 3. Do I think it ends well? I do. I think it's probably better than Well of Ascension. I don't think it's better than the first. I think the first Mistborn is just in a league of its own. But Hero of Ages, satisfactory ending. You get a little peek at like what the real power system of the Cosmere is, and yeah, like a lot of stuff that's set up earlier is paid off really well. It's just solid. I don't think it's like completely groundbreaking, but I think it's a very satisfactory ending. It'll be an A. It'll be. Do I like? I think I like Great Hunt more. Probably like Dune Messiah. Wow, this is tough. It's gonna go right there. Can't believe I didn't put Well of Ascension on here. I'm so silly. Men at Arms. I guess we'll do Feet of Clay at the same time. Oh, guards. Did I... Man, I am just... Oh, wow, Well of Ascension's right here. I'm such a goofy goober. Okay. Well of Ascension... Right there. Fuck, I think... Foundation might be moving by the... no, I've got to keep it at top of B. I can't be that disrespectful. Feet of Clay and Men-at-Arms. And Feet of Clay. But what about Guards? There we go. Alright, getting back to Discworld. Guards. This is the best Discworld book. For sure, this is the best Discworld book. It's what I would tell people to read first. It's a perfect standalone. It's fucking hilarious, man. Basically, Guards. It's about the City Watch. It's about the guards of the city, the people that are most ignored in all fantasy series ever. And it's just about this really reluctant leader of the City Watch, Sam Vimes, and how he has to turn his little ragtag group of guardsmen and solve this massive mystery of these like Kabbalists who are trying to summon a dragon. And yeah, it gets so intense. The climax is crazy. It's just like, I can't believe they won in the end. It's one of those ones where you're like, wow, this is just so unbelievable, but so believable and so funny and just, oh man, amazing pacing, amazing plot. It's definitely S tier. Yeah, that's fair. Men-at-Arms, not as good as Guards. Still probably the second best Discworld. Oh, I lied. No, there is a better Discworld book. I can't believe I lied to you guys like that. Men-at-Arms, though, the watch gets bigger, and that's another thing I like about the City Watch books, is every book they get new members, and they just add so much to the cast and the way they interact with other members. Men-at-Arms deals with a lot of discrimination. It deals with racism. It deals with sexism, hence Men-at-Arms, because there's a female watch member, and she kind of gets looked down upon, but he's able to just tackle these like big societal issues with like such ease and like tact that it is brilliant. Not S, but yeah, that's the spot. And then Feet of Clay, very relevant now. It kind of deals with AI, but mostly like robots. So it's about golems and how they're given life, and then they start murdering people. But it's like, are they doing it autonomously? Are people controlling them? Do they deserve the right to, govern themselves? It does get very deep, but it's probably not as good as the other two Guards books, but definitely an A. So that's what we'll plop it. Okay, what's next? Oh, okay. Now we get to talk about some of the best books written in recent memory in the fantasy genre. Joe Abercrombie, the First Law trilogy. You want to talk about comedy, pure comedy. These books shouldn't be allowed to be as funny as they are, because they're so dark. They're so brutal. And yet, holy crap, you can't help but laugh. The dialogue is incredible. The pacing is brilliant. The characters are so well realized. Probably the best written characters in modern fantasy. Not probably. They're the best written characters in modern fantasy. Fucking Sandan Glokta is single-handedly the best written character in fantasy. Like, he's a torturer. He's a scum piece of shit. and somehow you can't help but fucking love this guy. I will say this first book, it'll have a gripe. It's that it doesn't really have a plot. There really isn't much of a plot. It's really just about bringing the various characters together, but it kind of doesn't need it. It just rides so well on the strength of its characters that you just can't help but love it. I think it does have a very amazing kind of mid-climax and climax scene though, so that alone is worth it. Definitely A. I can already feel A tier is going to start becoming super crowded. Feet of Clay, you're moving down. Lord of Light's probably moving down to... Now that I think about it. This is a silly rearrange, but... what's better? I think Lord of Light's a little better. But First Law, the first one, I will put... Probably right there. I think that's fine. I did really enjoy the book. It just... Knowing how good they get, so like Before They Are Hanged is... Holy crap. Now you take these characters and you actually give them a plot and a war and extra lore, and you kind of have this like quest adventure that has a very weird I don't want to say purpose, like it has the same purpose, you know, they're trying to get a mystical item, but it doesn't go the way that you think it's going to go. His subversion of tropes is just top shit, and the fighting just gets fucking brutal in this one. It really sets up what you're about to see in the further novels. Yep, that's fair. And last but definitely not least, Last Argument of Kings. Perfect. It's a perfect book. The way it ends, oh my goodness, it's so unfathomable how he manages to just, every book just gets better, and it even goes farther from here. I would argue that the books even get better from this point on, but in terms of the end of this arc, this final trilogy, yeah, this is just like stratospheric. That's not really much of a word. That's fucking stupid. But it is S tier. It's definitely S tier. Yep, that's fair. You know what? Also, guards. Let's put you there. Let's just be honest. Oh no, I lost my spot. No, I lost my Goodreads spot. Shite. Sorry, technical difficulties. Oh, okay, we're getting back. Oh, I guess I did all these at once. Okay. Horror time. Salem's Lot. The best Stephen King book I've read? Probably. Honestly, probably. This is finally like a vampire story that I can say I truly love. You know, watch out Twilight. This is what fucking real vampires are. It's so eerie. And that atmosphere of this book, the setting, the fact that every chapter it's a POV of like another person in the town. Like you have main POV characters, but then you also just have like literally almost every member of this town has a POV and has an experience, and you kind of put all the pieces together. You're like, where the fuck is this vampire? Where is it going to go next? And it just feels like at any moment, like something's going to happen. And just such a great villain, such a great pace. Even like the characters are, I would say, pretty well developed for how quickly you, I won't say quickly you know them, because yeah, a lot of people are going to fucking die in this one. Spoiler alert. But I think definitely the best Stephen King book I've read so far, at least. Unless I'm about to contradict myself. But No, I think Salem's Lot is my number one Stephen King. So I think it's Now I'm gonna have to start making decisions. Let's go there for now.
All right, bit of a hard cut, but I did not finish the video in one shot, so here I am the next morning, refreshed and ready to rock. I actually ended up reorganizing all this, so I didn't fucking get lost, because I'm so professional. Um, but yeah, also, silly old me, I didn't realize I could separate the audio recording and the screen recording into two different like programs. So now it should be much better quality, like vocally. It definitely sounds like potato quality in the beginning, so sorry about that. But we learning. I don't know what's going on with this YouTube shit. I'm just fucking winging it. So anyways, continuing on, I think Salem's Lot was the last one we did. So next up, we got Dragon Reborn, Book 3, Wheel of Time. Really ballsy to call the book The Dragon Reborn and then have the character of The Dragon Reborn be completely not in the fucking book. So this book has Rand pretty much just run off because he just can't deal with the pressure of being the chosen one. And it just focuses more on the side characters, which I actually like because some of them definitely needed development, particularly Matt. I do think this book does slog like a motherfucker in the middle. There's like a 7 or 8 chapter stretch where it's just Matt running around the White Tower, and you're like, holy fuck, this is so boring. But there's some great moments. But it has a strong ending, and I would say a pretty decent start. It's just like it gets lost in the weeds a bit in the middle. It is worth it though. Where am I putting it is the real question. I don't know if it's high C or low B. C might be a little disrespectful. Put it at the bottom of B for now. Also, this is heinous. I really should put, like, God Emperor wasn't that bad, but it was a little shitty. But yeah, Dragon Reborn, it's fine. It does have a really, really solid ending though. The climax is what kind of pushes it to B, but it would be C because it is kind of a slog. But I think bottom of B is fine. All right, Stephen King. Where are you? Stephen King. Where's The Long Walk? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, The Long Walk. This is the Requiem for a Dream, the Grave of the Fireflies, the amazing story that you only want to read once because it is so emotionally traumatic. This is one of the best dystopian novels I've ever written. I wish I wrote it. I've ever read. But man, is it heavy. It is just a kick right to the balls. Like, watching kids slowly get murdered is never an enjoyable read. But seeing, like, the depravity of society and where we could end up it's well worth it. It's a one and done, though. I don't know if I'll ever read this book again. Where am I putting it, though? It's definitely one of the better Stephen Kings. Is it better than Salem's Lot? I don't think so. Let's see. Ooh, this is tough. I think we'll put this here for now. Also, let's be honest. There we go. Great book, though. Fantastic book. Ooh, yay, now I get to make fun of stuff. Okay. This is an old school read. Hunger Games. We're going to do all 3 of them. Oh boy. So, my grade 9 teacher got me to read The Hunger Games when it came out. So, that's really showing my age. I was in grade 9 when The Hunger Games came out. I thought it was fantastic when I first read it, mostly because I hadn't read a lot by that point in time. Like, most of what I read was like lower level fantasy, or like I was more of a nonfiction guy in high school. I wasn't really as into the fiction, but I thought Hunger Games was solid. And then later in life, I watched Battle Royale, the Japanese film, and realized that it was just a complete ripoff, and that Battle Royale was actually so much better. And that really tainted it for me. But to be honest, it kind of tainted itself, and I'll get to that once I get to this fucker right here. So, Hunger Games, first one I'll put here. Second one is pretty much the same. Catching Fire and Hunger Games is pretty much the same thing, which is why I'll put Catching Fire second. Because to be honest, Catching Fire is just the same story as the first one, just the all-star version. And it kind of leans into like, oh, by the end of the book, we're going to get out into the real world and see the resistance and shit. And you think that that's going to be so cool. And then Mockingjay comes out. This is a fat D tier. What a terrible third book in a trilogy. Just, she did not fucking know how to end this shit. The outside world is so uninteresting. You get setting fatigue so quickly because they're in a fucking bunker like the whole time. And then when they actually end up going into the city, it's like they're running through sewers, like fighting blizzards. Like, I still, like, it's been a while since I read it. I just remember it being so fucking boring. Like, there's a scene where they're going to go on this big rescue mission, and Katniss just passes out, and then she wakes up, and they're like, yeah, we're back. We achieved our mission. And it's like, what? You're just not even going to show any of that? You're just going to say, yeah, we infiltrated this fucking maximum security area, and it just worked. Just don't worry about it. You fell asleep, and holy crap, this book sucks. Also, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit of respect on Terry Pratchett here and just say that they're more enjoyable books than Hunger Games. But holy crap, what a fucking shit show. Disappointing. Extremely disappointing. Butlerian Jihad. Dune prequel. Really interesting premise. So this story is about, it's actually a trilogy, but this is just the first one. The Butlerian Jihad, it's only mentioned offhandedly in the original Dunes. But the Butlerian Jihad was essentially this AI tried to take over the whole universe. And it's just about humans' resistance against it. And it's how they used to have way like more high technology. And by the time of the main Dune books, they still have technology, but there's all these kind of like sanctions in place. Like, people can't use nukes. People don't really use like laser guns because the way they interact with shields, all that stuff, all that shit was discovered during this period of time. So you kind of get to see like the origins of how that all gets put together, which is really interesting. Although the writing quality isn't really there compared to, like, you know, Frank Herbert's original. It is his kid writing it, by the way, him and Kevin J. Anderson, so it's a duo. But like, it's just fine. Like, I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't. It feels weird calling it a Dune book because it really doesn't feel like that. But I think I'll put it about there. I think that's fine. Like, it's just a fine book. Like, I would recommend it. It's cool. It's better if you've read the original series. Like, I think by itself it wouldn't be that interesting, but because of how it connects and shapes the world of Dune, that is kind of what brings it home for me. Oh, okay. Okay, so the Mahabharata, or Mahabharat. If you live in the West, you've probably never heard of this. Me personally, I had never heard of it until my Pakistani friend explained it to me. This is the massive epic of India. This is the Iliad of India. But calling it the Iliad of India is kind of a disservice to it because it is so much deeper and, like, oh man, I can't even explain. It's like mythology, but it's also like sci-fantasy, like the original sci-fantasy. This story is like thousands of years old. And yet somehow it's so real. Like, the lessons that are put in there, the characters, the action, oh my goodness, like the story is about this massive war between a family, the war on the crack of the ages, and it's about the before and after and during of that, and how the build up to it, because all these characters are fighting each other, but characters on both sides. Like, there really is no like good guy and bad guy. Like, there is a bad guy, but he has actual reasons for being the way he is. It's really interesting. It's about fate, and it's about, star-crossed, not lovers, but like star-crossed friends. Honestly, brilliant. It's absolutely S tier. It's huge though. Like, I don't think I could recommend this to anyone because it's 2 massive volumes, like bricks, written by Ramesh Menon. Not written by him, but translated by him for like a Western audience. And he uses like really clear, concise language, and oh man, it truly is something else. It's S tier for sure. Where I put it, yeah, it's like, I don't know. It might be like it might be one of the greatest things I've ever read. Now that I think about it, I think this takes the cake. Also, I don't know if Dune is gonna stay up here, because if I'm being honest with myself, I like Children of Dune more than I like the original Dune. But it just like feels bad putting it like that. But I think I'll put. Ooh, this is tough. This is so tough. Yeah, if I'm being honest with myself. Ooh, okay. Okay, all right. I think I'm okay with that now. But Mahabharata is like, this is actually the top cheese. Like, I can't recommend it enough, but also I don't know anyone that would have the patience to read it. But if you do, if you know, it's one of those. Back to disappointing reads. Oh, where are you, Miss Kwong? Babel. So R.F. Kuang, most famously the author of the Poppy War trilogy, which I've never read, which I don't think I'll ever read, to be honest, because of how polarizing it is. Babel, on the other hand, when this came out, I thought it was right up my alley. It's dark academia. The magic system sounded so interesting. It's about language and how you capture what's lost in translation, and that becomes like a power. So you engrave one word on one side of a piece of metal, one word on another side, and whatever is lost in translation is what it does. Like, honestly, so creative. I thought this magic system had like so much potential, and it did show like early signs that it was being used in society in really interesting ways. But it never realizes that potential. And also, the main character is the most insufferably boring fucking main character I think I've ever read. Like, worse than Rincewind from Discworld. Honestly, he's just so lifeless. All of the side characters are so much more interesting than him, and it's like, man, why couldn't the book be about any of these other characters? Instead, we're gonna focus so much time on this one guy who just zero riz, no charisma. Like, oh man, and the ending was, I don't know, man. It had so much going for it, and then it just fell really flat for me. Still better than Hunger Games though, so we'll put it there. Okay, back to good stuff. Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, the classic, the legend. Honestly, better than the movie. The movie's still amazing. I'm not shitting on the movie, but I just think the book did it better. I like that in the movie. I don't know why they did this, but they made the kids like a point of contention. Like, the main character hates kids. In the book, he's not like that at all. In the book, he's so happy that this kid is actually interested in dinosaurs, and he's like actually treats him more with respect than like any of the other adults do, which I loved that part of the book. And somehow that is just completely absent from the movie. It's completely opposite, where the guy has to like learn to love kids, and I'm like, that was so unnecessary now that I've read the book. But man, peak techno thriller, just staple of the science fiction genre. Where is it going, though? It's pretty high up for me, man. I think... Ooh, is it the top of A? I think it's the top of A, because it's, like, close to being an S-tier book. Yeah, Jurassic Park. Go read it, if you haven't. Okay, missed the train on this one, pun intended. So I never was into Harry Potter as a kid. Just literally did nothing for me. I got a Kindle a couple years back, and it had like a subscription to whatever the fuck the Amazon reading services for 30 days. And one of the things that was on there was Harry Potter. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just read it. Even though I know the whole story, I've watched the movies, like, let me just give it a chance. Yeah, it was mid. Like, clearly it's for children. But also, that's not much of an excuse because, you know, you got another story right here that's also written for children that is way better. But it was just whatever. Like, I think the world building with Harry Potter is so flat. That's my one gripe of it, is it really just focuses in on this the school for kids, but it implies that there's wizards out in the real world doing stuff, but it just never talks about it. I guess Fantastic Beasts does, but that's like totally separate. Yeah, it's middle of the road, man. Probably put it like here. I'll still take Terry Pratchett over it because at least it's funny. Harry Potter is just kind of boring. Sorry, Harry Potter fans. Tress of the Emerald Sea, probably the best standalone Brandon Sanderson novel. Sorry, take a sip of my coffee. It's Reverse Princess Bride. It's the Princess Bride, but the girl saves the boy. And honestly, it fucking rocks. You get to see how this just regular kid overcomes insane obstacles on a like really alien world. Probably one of the coolest worlds he's built, where they ride on a sea, like they're seafarers, but it's not a real sea. It's a sea of spores, like fungus spores. And if you spray water on them, they fucking explode into whatever they are, because there's different colors of seas, different spores that do different things when they interact. And it's so clever. Like, I was honestly not expecting to like this book all that much. When he announced the secret projects, this was the one I was the least excited about. But then I read it, and I'm like, this is probably the best of them. I still have to read Yumi, so I guess I'll take a rain check on that. But for now, Tress would easily be what I recommend as a first Sanderson, because it's completely standalone. You don't have to read some massive series. And it does tie into the greater Cosmere, but like it's just Easter eggs. You don't really need to know anything going into it. So yeah, this is top shelf Sanderson. Definitely a probably, I think I do like it more than Hero of Ages. Yeah, that's fair. That's a good spot. I need to start quoting myself. How many times have I said, yeah, that's fair, that's a good spot? I'm so fucking monotonous. Okay, back to Discworld. Reaper Man. One of the Death novels. Funny premise. Death goes on vacation, decides to become a farmer. But while he's not, being the Lord of Death, people just stop dying. And, hijinks ensue. It's fun. There's some really good moments, but the plot does kind of not really exist. it kind of meanders a lot. But it's still like, it's got some moments. I'd say it's probably the top of C. It just doesn't have that oomph that all the other Discworld books have, but it's still Discworld, so it's still hilarious to read no matter what. Definitely worth the read, I think, but just not, it just doesn't hold up to his other work. Gunmetal Gods, the only self-published book on here. And man, what a first novel. It's basically Lovecraft monsters mixed with like Arabian high fantasy. It's extremely metal, so the gunmetal part is on point. Like there's some brutal fight scenes, like insane deaths. And honestly, like a really well-paced story. The characters are superhuman. They do some despicable things, but they all think that, you know, they have the right reasons for it. And it's very, like, breakneck speed. There's, like, no slow moments of this book. Shit, it's hard to compare to anything because it is very original. I don't know if it's... I don't think I could put it above Abercrombie, though. It's his first book, but for a first book, like, yeah, really, really good. I got to read the other two. I think there's two more. I believe it's a trilogy, but yeah, solid first outing. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to have to shout out my boy Luke, you know who you are, for these two books. He lent them to me years ago. Negative Space, B.R. Yeager. This book is fucking disgusting. Like, it is a filthy book. I felt like every time I read it, I had to go take a shower. And it's not even because, like, there was, like, a lot of gross stuff in there. There was. But just the fucking vibe of this book. It's so unnerving. It's really well done and really creepy, but another book that I just don't have any will to read again. But it's really good. I can recommend it, but it's another one of those books where you recommend it and people are like, why the fuck did you tell me to read that, dude? That's kind of what I told Luke, but I still liked it. I definitely still liked it. I'll probably put it probably right there. Yeah, gross fucking book. This book, however, Between Two Fires, this is an S tier. This is an S tier book. It's medieval horror fantasy. You know, you have this knight who's trying to redeem himself, and this little girl who is angelic. She has some blessedness to her. But they're just walking through medieval France as just the underworld just starts coming up. Like, just demon after fucking creepy possessed person. It just keeps getting worse as this knight is ferrying her to, like, where she needs to be. And the climax is just, oh man, what a way to end a book. It's steadily paced. It's got some fucking horrific moments. S tier book right there. Fucking can't recommend that enough. Oh, didn't turn my fucking phone off. I just love ruining my own videos. Okay. Back to Crichton. Timeline. Probably my favorite Crichton that I've read so far. The best time travel story I've ever read, for sure. Because it actually makes sense. It's not even really about time travel. They're traveling through dimensions. But, you know, time and space are intrinsically linked. So the way they explain it, it's all very quantum. But it's well done. Bunch of researchers go back to medieval France, in air quotes, because it's not really medieval France. It's a different universe, medieval France. But to, like, go and rescue their head archaeologist who got lost. And, like, such a solid premise how it starts out and how they figure out that he's back in time because they're at a dig site. Their head archaeologist leaves, doesn't return. They find that weird. But in this dig site, they find a piece of paper that was written in the exact handwriting of their archaeologist, but it carbon dated to, like, the fucking 1400s. So that's how they know something's up. And they go to their benefactor, and, you know, that's how they figure this out. But just such a solid book. Not D tier. Might be blasphemous, but I think I like Timeline better than Jurassic Park. I think it's the top of A tier. It's so close to being an S tier book. It might be, but I think I'm just trying to keep this. I'm trying to keep this top area a little cleaner. But yeah, top cheese Crichton. Amazing book. Now to a not so amazing book. This is the second Secret Project by Brandon Sanderson. Not set in the Cosmere, completely standalone. Cool premise. Basically, it's an isekai. You know, Buddy gets sent into what is basically a video game, but it's just like alternate reality, but it's real alternate reality. And he's going in there to save his wife, I believe. I barely even remember it. I just remember it not being all that great. I think it was, I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, though. I need to reevaluate my grading system. But it was just okay. A fun read, but not something that's really going to stick with me. It's definitely C. Right there. That's where it's going. The only Kurt Vonnegut I've read so far. Slaughterhouse-Five, a classic. Most people read it in school. I read it much later. I think 2 years ago now. Brilliant book. Really delves into the mental trauma. But does it in a really cool way. How this guy, he slips through time, but you still don't really know if that's actually what's happening or if it's really just his severe mental illness. And they never really conclude on that, which I both like and don't like. But I really enjoyed the ride. Kurt Vonnegut's prose is just so full of... It's so hopeful. It just makes you feel good inside. It's my little feelies, get warmed. It's a B. I think right about there. That's solid. It's a solid book. I think there's probably better Vonneguts, but I just, I haven't given him enough time. But I do have a lot of his books on my shelf, so I will get there. Okay, time for the best Wheel of Time book, Shadow Rising. No doubt, this is where this series completely separates itself from all predecessors, in my opinion. Incredible start, incredible ending, incredible middle, incredible all throughout. Character development for everyone. Everybody has a good arc. Everybody has a massive moment. Rand is finally locked the fuck in, and he's like, you know what? I am that guy, and I'm just going to start being that guy. For the first 3 books of the series, he's really just a kid who cannot accept that he's in the position that he's in. But by this book, he literally says, fuck all this shit. If the Dark One, if all these Forsaken and all these motherfuckers are going to come after me, fine, run it. I'm going to throw hands now. I don't care. And it just feels great. And it's a long book, too, but it doesn't feel like it. You get some amazing lore for the Aiel. This book just feels like this is where the disparate parts of all the different cultures and the geopolitics all really start crossing over. And there's just this book's so good. Oh, this book's so good. Yeah, right there. The best Wheel of Time by far so far. Not even close. Okay. The Abercrombie standalones. This might be an insane take. Best Served Cold, I think, is the best first law book. I think it's better than the original trilogy. It is so insane to say that. But it is literally the Count of Monte Cristo, but way more badass. I mean, I've never read the Count of Monte Cristo, so I guess I can't really make that kind of claim, but holy shit. And the way that this story's told, the interludes that show her flashbacks that kind of line up by the end of the book, crossover with where the start of the book is. I love that type of shit. The setting's amazing. It's literally like first law versions of Italy. The characters, you get the return of some of the best characters in the series all working together, and it really works in with I don't want to say the twist, I don't want to spoil anything, but how the third book ends, it really lines up with that paradigm so well. The third book of the original trilogy. I mean, yeah, Best Served Cold is an S tier. Also, I think it's slightly better than Last Argument of Kings. One of the best fantasy novels I've ever read. The Heroes, I used to think was just as good as Best Served Cold, but I realized that it doesn't stand on its own 2 feet as much because you really need to have the original trilogy in mind when you read it. I don't think you can read this book without reading the original trilogy, whereas I think you could read Best Served Cold by itself. Even though there's some things you wouldn't understand, it can still be read as standalone. The Heroes is much more linked, but it gives some great character development to 2 characters who I never thought you'd get any development from, who you have a totally different view of in the original series. And I don't want to say who they are because, spoilers. But The Heroes is just about this battle over this hill. It's just about 2 sides fighting over a hill, and you love characters on both sides. And Joe Abercrombie is so good at doing that, at making you like everybody and then going, but they hate each other, so not everyone's making it out alive. Yeah, The Heroes is definitely a... Ooh, shit, this is getting fucking tough now. This is getting so tough now. I think... Ooh, is it better than these 2? Oh, that's so brutal. Okay, we're gonna put it there. Oh man, I'm gonna have to re-go through all this shit. Here's for another disappointing, probably my most disappointing Discworld read. Soul Music, the 3rd Death book, and it's about rock and roll. It's about the invention of rock and roll on the Discworld. And me being a massive prog nerd, I should fucking love this book. But the plot just wasn't there, and the characters just weren't there. It's so sad to say, but the main cast is just, like the band, they're just so boring. And, man, it's a meandering plot. And it is funny, obviously, because it's Discworld, but Death himself is barely in it. And I don't know, it just, I had such high, maybe because I had such high expectations for this one. It's unfortunate, but that's where it's going. Sorry. Ubik, definitely the best PKD I've read. It's better than Man in the High Castle. It's better than Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. It's so unique. It feels like proto-cyberpunk. Because of how gnarly some of the scenes are. And, essentially this book is about... How do I even explain Ubik? It feels like such an unexplainable book. But basically people are put into this, like, half-life state where you're about to die, but you keep, like, half the brain alive. And it has to deal with, like, the soul and... like the nature of reality, which is like, I'm pretty much describing almost every PKD book, but oh man, it gets, especially by the halfway mark, it just starts getting so chaotic, but like in a good way. Yeah, I fucking love this book. Where does it go? I think it's high up. It's high up. I think that's it. I think that's where Ubik is. Yeah, I've been chasing the Ubik high in science fiction for a while now. Shit, I might have to take Restaurant down. I realize that this might not be an S tier book. Ooh, we'll put it probably here, actually. So I have to reevaluate all my shit. Okay, and I did that because I know that this book is S tier. Cryptonomicon by Neil Stephenson. I am so in love with this book. I've never read anything like it. It is such a niche thing, though. Another book I don't think I can recommend to anyone. So it's about It's World War II setting and a modern day setting. So 2 different timelines. It's about the early stages of the computer. It's literally about the first ever computer. If you know anything about World War II history, like the Enigma machines and cryptography, that is how early computing started. So it's about that while simultaneously being about like hackers and the dot-com bubble boom in the modern day. And literally, okay, this book invented cryptocurrency. Neal Stephenson put the idea of cryptocurrency in this book before anyone else had even thought about it. So Bitcoin literally has this book to thank. It's crazy. But it's a dense plot involving multiple, not timelines, but time periods, and how it crosses over. It's about like old Nazi gold and like the geopolitics and like the Philippines and how it was taken over by multiple places and how it was like this crossover point in World War II. Like, holy crap. This book is impossible to sell to someone, but like it's like it was written for me. It's about World War II, which I love. It's about early computing, which I love. It's about geopolitics, but also hacking, and it's just holy crap. This book is ridiculously good. It's more just I'm just so impressed by how dense it is, how he's able to cross over all of these plot lines together, and it makes sense. It has such a satisfactory ending. I was blown away by how he ended it too. It's S. It's definitely S. It's right there. Yeah, Cryptonomicon is something else entirely. Childhood's End, Arthur C. Clarke. Another staple of science fiction. It's a first contact novel. Aliens come to Earth, but then make everything better. So, and it kind of starts off, people are really skeptical about the aliens, obviously, and they try to fight them. None of it works. And it's just about how humanity just has to kind of adapt to understanding that they're not the top dog anymore, and how we slowly acclimate to, I don't even want to call them our alien invaders, but our alien shepherds, basically. I don't know if it was as incredible as I thought about it when I initially read it, but I do think it's very good. So I think the top of B is where I'm going to put Childhood's End. Ooh, another disappointing read. Super sad. The Warhound and the World's Pain. The only Michael Moorcock book I've read. I will be reading Elric soon. I've told myself I have the omnibus. I'm going to fucking run through the Elric novels. But this one, I was told to start with this series, the Von Beck series, because it's part of his Eternal Champion, umbrella series. On paper, I should love this book. It's about Middle Ages, German mercenary in France, finds a castle that is actually part of the devil's domain, and makes a deal with the devil, and has to essentially help Lucifer. Lucifer is the best character in this book, I will say. He's so well written. But, man, it's so boring. It's such a slog. The action scenes are terribly written. Moorcock's not exactly known for his prose, I'll say, or even like description of action. Maybe he gets better, because this was like, but no, this book was 1980. This is like after the Elric stuff, and I don't know. It didn't hit. It's ooh, I might even like. No, it's still better than Harry Potter, I think, but. Oh, I don't know though. I think I have to be honest. I think it's down here. Yeah, it's just really disappointing read. Sad times. Now, onto one of my favorite writers of all time, Gene Wolfe, talking about acquired tastes. The Fifth Head of Cerberus is not even really a novel. It's 3 novellas put together that all talk about the same, not the same thing, but the same area. It's about this relationship between these 2 planets, and it's very cryptically written. I think Gene Wolfe has really beautiful prose. It is just, it can be really hard to parse through, and it's really dark. Like, none of his stories are really that hopeful, at least that I've read. But a really unique take on, like, I don't know if colonialism's the right word, but it's more about the differences of culture and how people view other cultures from their own biases. But it's also about, like, automation and, like, fucking torture. Like, it's a weird set of stories, but I think they all string together in a pretty satisfactory way. I think it's probably right about there. Yep. You'll notice my A tier is getting pretty crowded, but I mean, I don't read bad books. I tend to read a lot of books that I think I'm already gonna like. So yeah, it's a lot of the stuff that's in the lower tiers is stuff that's recommended to me. Sorry to say. Fires of Heaven, Fifth Wheel of Time book. Still really good. Still some amazing moments. I think Matt particularly has, like, the most agency you've seen him with. But I think this is the book where I can start to see the problems. And now I'm currently reading Lord of Chaos, the 6th book. I can really see the problems with that now. It is such a fucking slog. Like, these books are just too long. And this is coming from a guy that, like, loves fantasy. I love big fantasy, but man, he just drags the fuck on about things that don't matter. Like, just erroneous details that just do not matter. And yeah, it's unfortunate. So with that in mind, where am I putting Fires of Heaven? It's still good. I think it's a little bit better than Dragon Reborn. Yeah, I think it's better than Dragon Reborn. I'm going to put it right in front of Dragon Reborn, actually, I think. Because, again, it ends so well, but man, he just takes the fucking scenic route really hard in this one, and it's unfortunate. Okay, now to a really good one, actually. Short and sweet, Piranesi. I'm going to say it super Italian. By Susanna Clarke. Such a short read, quick and breezy, amazingly paced. Great world building for how small the little world is. Essentially, it's this character who just doesn't remember anything, you know, so it's a bit of an amnesia arc, which, you know, usually sucks. But it's done really well. It's about this character, Piranesi, who's inside this massive building full of statues and doesn't understand how they got there, who they are, what this place is. Like, it's just you're trying to figure out the world as this character does. And then you meet other characters that you don't know if they're trying to help or hurt them. It's really mysterious, but really, really satisfactory. It gets a little weird with the explanation of the world itself, but I don't think it's backbreaking for the book. This is like a heavy recommend for anyone who wants a standalone fantasy book that's like not too long, isn't gonna drag. It's just the right amount of everything, I think. I think I like it about this much. I think right there. Yep, that's good. Thus is good. Ooh, okay. Gene Wolfe. It's Gene Wolfe o'clock. Book of the New Sun. Now, this is yet another series I don't think I can recommend to anyone because it's so fucking weird. Um, Book of the New Sun. It's really a science fiction book. Some people would call it sci fantasy because of how medieval-ish the world is, but essentially you follow this character named Severian, who is part of the Torturers Guild. He's literally a torturer. And it's just about his quest to... I don't even know. Like, it's like he's being sent to another town because essentially he's supposed to torture this woman to death, and he decides to give her the easy way out and let her kill herself. Yeah, sorry. Trigger warning there. And he's not allowed to do that. And so they're like, yeah, you're getting kicked out of the guild. But in the meantime, like, go to this. We're basically repositioning you. Go to this other town outside of the city. This is a guy who's been raised inside, like, one building his whole life. He's never left. So you're experiencing the world as he does. And this world it's a dying Earth setting. So it's very much like Jack Vance inspired. Jack Vance, The Dying Earth. Another book that is on my shelf. So it's set so far into the future that the sun is literally, what is it, a red giant or dwarf? I forget. Whatever the late stages of the sun is. And the world has gone through so many layers of history, so many like apocalyptic events to like building up society to another apocalyptic event to another build up. It just, there's this layers of history that are baked into this world. And that's why it feels like there's medieval parts where people are like jousting and fighting with swords, but also there's some like really high technology. But Gene Wolfe is so pretentious that this book uses words that are all real English words, but they're so archaic that we don't even know what they mean anymore. Like, we know what the words mean now. You can Google them, but when they use words in the story, they're not necessarily using those words to describe the thing that you think they're describing. So it's a really hard book to read, but the world just feels so vivid and real. Like, I really want to put this in S tier, but because I haven't finished it, Book of the New Sun is 4 books, but it's really one book. Like, it's one big story. He had the whole thing written out before he published them. They just made him publish it in 4 to, like, you know, for sales. Same thing with Lord of the Rings. So I'm reluctant to put it in S tier for now, but it is high A. Ooh. Which one do I think is better, Shadow or Claw? I think Claw is actually a little bit better. So I'll put Shadow of the Torturer probably about here. And then Claw, I think I'll put right in front of it. Because Claw the Conciliator, you get more into the outside world, because the first book, he literally makes it to the gate of the city, and then the book ends. So the second book has a lot more meat to the world building and actually the plot as well. You get to learn a lot more about the characters in it. But yeah, once I'm done the entire series, I'll have a better understanding of where these books fit in the grand scheme of my reading. All right, back again. Man, this is just, the cuts are going to be so fucking brutal. I am so not professional. Neuromancer by William Gibson. The cyberpunk novel. Literally invented cyberpunk single-handedly. Sorry, Blade Runner, but I think Neuromancer locks it in more. The story behind this, interestingly enough, is William Gibson was 3/4 of the way through finished writing the book. And then Blade Runner came out. He went to go see Blade Runner, realized it was so similar, and thought, holy shit, people are going to think I just plagiarized this book. So he just rewrote it. Like, the balls. But what he came up with, I think it's a really fantastic book. I think it's just really held back by the prose. Like, it's a difficult book to read, but for its own reasons. It's not like the words themselves are difficult to understand. It's the context that they're used in. He doesn't explain anything. You just have to kind of rock with it and try to fucking put it together as he does it. But it's still brilliant. Like everything that you can think of about the cyberpunk genre starts with this book. You know, street samurai, like fucking jacking into like AR virtual reality, you know, surfing the fucking internet and hacking through VR. Like all of this stuff, he started it. So it definitely deserves its spot. I don't know if I can put it in A. I think I can put it in A. Fuck. Shit, this is so crowded. I think right here is actually good. And you know what? I'll put Weird Sisters at the top of B. I think that's fine. I'm gonna have to start shuffling up. Oh my goodness. Pain and Suffering. Flowers for Algernon. One of the greatest books I've ever read. But one of the most depressing books I've ever read. If you don't cry in the last few pages of Flowers for Algernon, you have no soul. You are a soulless bastard. If you've never heard of the premise for this book, basically it's about these doctors who have come up with this method of basically they made a drug that helps rewire your brain. And they give it to this mentally challenged kid to see like how it works on him. Well, first they tested on a rat, and they realized the rat gets really smart. So this kid is like the first human trial for this drug, and it's written in an epistolary format. I think that's the word, where it's a journal. It's just this kid's journal, and you see him writing. In the beginning, he's like very intellectually stunted, but as the book goes on, you see he gets smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter, and it's really hopeful. And you're like, holy crap! That he starts becoming like a legitimate genius. But without spoiling it, it definitely doesn't have a happy ending, and it's so heartbreaking, but it is such a great treatise on, you know, how intelligence affects your emotions, and does being more intelligent make you a better person? How does it affect your morality? And, you know, just like the dangers of science in general, like, you know, humans playing God, like, should we be doing it? Holy crap, what a book. It's definitely S. It's way up there. It's right there. Oh my goodness. A book I'd never really want to read again, though, just because of like how fucking gutting it is, but an absolutely necessary read. Time for a much cozier read. Another Zelazny, The Night in the Lonesome October. A Night in the Lonesome October. Just a fun book. You take all these classic gothic characters, Dracula, Jack the Ripper, some witches, a werewolf, I think, at some point. And they're basically playing this game, this summoning game. I don't even know how to explain it. But the teams are ambiguous. The setting is, like, the goal is ambiguous. Basically, all these characters are trying to figure out whose side they are on, and also what they're trying to achieve. And it's all done through the perspective of animals. So every one of these characters has an animal companion. And the main character, it's Jack the Ripper's dog. And it's about him going around and talking to the different animal companions of the other different contenders and trying to, like, sabotage each other, trying to gain information. Like, it is such a unique and fun story. I don't think it's incredible, but I think it's a really fun, cozy read that everyone should probably read at some point, because it's so low commitment. Right there. That's where Night in the Lonesome October is going. Okie dokie. It's Pierce Brown time. So, the Red Rising trilogy. One of modern science fiction's, I don't want to say pinnacles, but it's definitely, in terms of accessibility, extremely accessible. It reads like a space opera. It is a space opera, pretty much. And it doesn't get too much into like the technobabble of the technology, but essentially what the story is humans live in this caste system by color, and the Reds are the lowest. They live under Mars and they're digging. They don't even realize that. They think that they're trying to like make the world livable for like the coming generations. They don't realize that the world is already livable and they have like a great life on the surface, and they're actually just slaves and they have no idea. And Red Rising is about this slave who escapes to the top through the help of, like secret society, and tries to make his way through the ranks of being a gold, which is the upper echelon. And it's a Hunger Games setup. They get thrown into this pit with a bunch of other would-be like generals, and they're in teams and they fight each other very literally to the death. These kids are killing the fuck out of each other. But it feels bad to compare it to Hunger Games because it's so much better. It is so much better. Particularly the first book is really the only Hunger Games in adjacent. The sequels start getting into full space opera. For the original Red Rising, I'll definitely put it, I think it's a high B. Maybe the top of B. I think the top of B. It's just a solid book. Golden Sun, however, oh my goodness. One of the best sequels I've ever read. It just takes the story to another fucking echelon. And it's these books, by the way, breakneck pacing. There is just never a dull moment, especially the first two, especially the second one. And it's so satisfying. Like, these character interactions are just, all the characters are so complicated. Like, there are some like objectively terrible people, but most of the characters, they can flip-flop. Golden Sun, I think, is an S tier book. How high up the S tier is the question right there. Yeah, Golden Sun's ridiculous. Morningstar, I think, is solid. I definitely don't like it as much as the first two, though. There's some slower moments. There's some good world building, though, especially with the Obsidian class. And a very satisfactory ending. I like the way that they ended the series, but I think I like it a little less than the original, and definitely less than Golden Sun. Right there. That's where Morningstar is going. This Immortal, another Roger Zelazny. Actually, I might just do all these Zelaznys in a row now. This Immortal. So this was my book club read, actually. I used to run a book club. Rest in peace. And I think this was the first or second book we read. Again, I'm a huge Zelazny stan, even if I rank a lot of his books in like B. I think he just comes up with such original premises and just solid prose, and it's serious and goofy at the same time. It's hard to explain, but this Immortal, it's nice. I hope that doesn't get recorded. I'm sorry, someone just dropped something upstairs. This Immortal, it is essentially about this immortal guy who lives on Earth, but Earth is like post-apocalyptic. Most people live off-world, and he's kind of like a tour guide for prospectors. Would you believe it? This book actually tied with Frank Herbert's Dune for the 1965 Hugo Award. It's the only time they've ever split a Hugo Award between two books. And I'm going to be honest, as much as I enjoy this Immortal, it is not even fucking close to the level of Dune. The fact that they made them share a Hugo is so disrespectful to Dune. Because realistically, this Immortal, it's a B. But, and I even put it, I think Lonesome October is better too. Like, I'd put this Immortal probably down here somewhere. Lower end for sure. I like it a little bit more than Negative Space there. But a solid book, just nowhere near like the echelon that you'd expect that type of book to be. But for some really good Zelazny, Nine Princes in Amber. What an original fantasy series. It's about this guy, amnesia plot again. He wakes up in a hospital bed in like 1940s New York, doesn't know who the hell he is. Unbeknownst to him, he's like the heir to a multiversal throne where he has all these brothers and sisters that all have these powers to like transfer through the multiverse. I guess the way that they explain it is Amber is the only true reality, and every other reality is just a reflection of Amber. So our Earth right now is just a reflection of Amber, which is the real world. And it's about him like making his way back and interacting with his siblings who he doesn't realize are his siblings. And then it's kind of funny. At one point in the book, he just straight up looks at two of his siblings and is like, listen, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know who you guys are. Like he's playing it up the whole time, but it gets to a point where they're like about to be killed, and he's like, listen, I have no idea what's going on. Can you guys please help me? And they're like, holy shit, that's crazy. But a really, really original book, especially the first one. These decisions are getting fucking ridiculous now. Where am I putting Nine Princes in Amber? Right there. Guns of Avalon, the second book, definitely not as good as the first one. I'll say, again though, like it's been so long since I've read it, so it's hard for me to rank this. I just remember not liking it as much as the first one. But still enjoying it, still enjoyable. I'll put it probably right there. Ooh. Okay, what's next? Oh, another S tier. A Song for Arbonne, Guy Gavriel Kay. I really need to read more Guy Gavriel Kay. Canadian author. Every fantasy novel he reads is a standalone, pretty much. Like he has some duologies, but most of them can be read standalone. And every book is really just a historical fiction book, but with a little bit of a fantasy element. So, for example, A Song for Arbonne, it's about a fictional France, and its war with a fictional Germany. And there's a magic to the world that they have. It's a very light form of magic. But it's basically about, it's a love story. It's about this country full of troubadours that are all these romantics, and they're being invaded by these like German barbarians, and it's about how they have to combat this extremely aggressive, brutish nation, and like they have to fight it like with love. It sounds so corny, but man, it is like so beautiful. The themes are amazing. The characters are amazing. The prose is completely top shelf. Like, holy crap! And if all his books are like of this quality, like I should really be dropping everything and just only reading Guy Gavriel Kay. I'm gonna read Tigana, hopefully before the end of the year, so that'll enter the list. But for now, Song for Arbonne is absolutely an S tier novel. Like way up. Wow, is this another book that I like more than Mistborn? Yep. Okay, I'll put Flowers for Algernon. I'll be a little more honest. Ooh. God, this feels... Only because like I think this book is actually brilliant. It's just so gut-wrenching that like I have to put it down a little bit, but yeah, Song for Arbonne, top shelf. I can't recommend it enough. Okay, back to Mr. King. Pet Sematary. Holy crap. Incredible, but just horrifying. Just absolutely horrifying. The implications of this book. I'm sure you've heard of Pet Sematary at some point. I mean, for the 3 people that are going to watch this video. Kid's cat dies, buried in a cemetery. Cat comes back to life, but stranger. And then a kid dies, and what do you think happens? Yeah, this book is fucking haunting. I feel like as a parent, this book would be extremely hard to read. I'm happy I don't have kids when I read this, at least, because gut wrenching. I haven't watched the movies though, so I wonder how well they hold up. There is also like a weird like Wendigo moment that just never really gets paid off, which that did kind of bother me a bit. But the premise alone of, you know, this fucking creepy ass cemetery that brings people back to life, but in a strange way. Yeah, solid. I think I'll put this. Ooh, yeah, I think the top of B is a solid point for it. It's not my favorite King, but really good all around. Ooh, This Is How You Lose the Time War. Wholesome, weird. It's quick. It's written by two authors, which gives it a unique quality. They each write for the different perspective. It's about this kind of like multiversal, you know, space-spanning war between these two factions that are never really fully explained. And it's just about these people from both factions, these two individuals who they're trying to catch and kill one another, but they start liking each other through that process and start realizing that they have more in common. It's very lovey-dovey. I think it's very well written. It's just not I don't think it's as incredible as like the first time I read it, but I do really enjoy it. I'm gonna probably put it. I'll probably put it there, middle of B. Oof. Another big recommend from friends. Moon of the Crusted Snow. Post-apocalyptic fiction, Canadian author, native author. And it takes place in Canada. It's about, you know, they're on the reserve, they're on the res. Life's fine, and then all of a sudden all the power goes out. And they're like, okay, that's strange, but, you know, hopefully it'll get fixed. Spoiler alert, it doesn't get fixed, and shit just starts getting worse. Eventually people start trickling in from the big cities, you know, into this res, and they have to deal with taking care of their own people and also trying to be good to these other people who are clearly, you know, need a place to stay, but also they can't really trust anyone. It's a harrowing story, and it is pretty gut wrenching, but it's very real. It's a very human story. But yeah, this decision making for the tier list is getting fucking rough now. Like, where would I put Moon of the Crusted Snow? Indeed. I think right about there, actually. Because it does give me Long Walk vibes in a weird way, but I would say it's better. Andromeda Strain. Oh, it's right at the front for me. Michael Crichton. By far the weakest Michael Crichton, for sure. Great start. It's, you know, a plague is spreading, and, you know, they got to figure shit out quick and contain it before it kills the world. The problem is setting fatigue. Massive setting fatigue. Most of the book takes place in a bunker, and it's just scientists talking shit out, and it just... Oh, it gets so monotonous, and I don't really think it has a very satisfactory ending either. So unfortunately, it's his first book though, so I guess I'll toss him a line there, but I think Warhound's a little bit worse, so I'll put it there. Yeah, first book, so cutting him some slack. Now on to a fucking masterpiece, The Way of Kings, the first Stormlight Archive, massive chunky book, but holy crap, some insanely incredible moments, insanely good character work. You feel so much for Kaladin, and it even does a good job with some of like the higher class characters and not making them just feel like mouthpieces for oppression, but giving them some arcs as well. I really want to put this in S. I think it is S, actually. I think I have to be completely honest and put it right there. Way of Kings is brilliant. Way of Kings is fucking brilliant. Elantris, not so brilliant. It's Brandon Sanderson's first book. I think it has some great ideas, and I'm interested with how these characters are going to tie into the Cosmere later, which I'm assuming they will. But the prose is definitely rougher. Again, a bit of setting fatigue. It can get a little boring because it's set in this really grimy location. And there is like a lot of moments that it is a little slow compared to even like Stormlight, which are massive books, but they just don't feel like they drag. The pacing feels great, especially on the first two. So you can tell Sanderson's just trying to get his footing with this book, and it's understandable. I still enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it more than all of these, I think. I think I'm going to put it... I'll put it at the top of C. I think it's barely a B. So I think... no, top of C is fine. I think top of C is fine. Warbreaker, on the other hand, probably his best... I lied. Tress is the best standalone. But Warbreaker is criminally underrated. I think more people need to read this. It's perfect standalone, a really interesting magic system, a biochromatic breath, like taking colors out of things and using them to breathe life into to animate objects. It leaves a lot of room for possibilities. Also, like a Shardblade before Shardblades, little Cosmere Easter egg for anyone. Definitely, if you're ever going to read Stormlight Archive, so if you're going to read Way of Kings, read Warbreaker before you read Words of Radiance. Please. You will not regret it. It's so worth it, and it will blow your fucking mind. But Warbreaker, I'm going to put... Warbreaker's a high B. Definitely a high B. Yeah, right there. Perfectly fine. Well worth the read. Not his best, but well over the middle of the pack for Sanderson. Now this isn't even a novel. This is actually a novella, but I just felt the need to put it up here. Riders of the Purple Wage by Philip Jose Farmer is such a bizarre story. So the Purple Wage is basically UBI. It's Universal Basic Income. This book was written, or this novella was written in 1967, so it was written for Dangerous Visions, which is probably the best science fiction anthology ever put to paper. I'm going to have to do a whole video on that. But this is the longest story in that collection, and it feels so prophetic, like in the way that he talks about like early forms of like this is pre-internet, but also how like there's no shame in society anymore. People are kind of just doing shit, like to the point of like incestuous relationships are like normal. You have like mothers and sons like hooking up. It's so fucking gross and weird. But it's so thought-provoking though. Like it makes me wonder like what kind of drugs this guy was fucking on. But clearly he was onto something, because there's some real fucking points in this book where I'm like, holy shit, could he see the future? Maybe not the incestuous part, but there's other things in here that, even like performance art, like he's an artist, but it goes into like how art critique is just like a whole crock of bullshit, which I can definitely vouch for now in today's society. For how odd it is, it's definitely a B. This is such a hard one to rank. I think I'm going to put it a little bit above This Immortal. But just for the premise alone and for the ideas that are posited, I think it's super worth the read. Okay, what's next? Probably the weakest Zelazny. Jack of Shadows. Fuck, I really wanted to like this book. Basically, Buddy from the Underworld is just like traversing the multiverse and causing hijinks. I barely even remember what this book was about. That's how sad it is. It meanders. The main character's not interesting. The world building is kind of cool, but this book ultimately doesn't lead anywhere, and it just is really just a huge letdown. I think I gave it 3 stars, but it's like the lower end of 3 stars. Is it worse than Warhound? Probably. Yep, it probably is. It's so sad because I fucking love Zelazny, but this book just wasn't it. Words of Radiance, however, just round of fucking applause. Wait, talk about perfect sequels. Holy shitballs. Because this book focuses on Shallan, and she's my least favorite character, I did not expect to like this book that much. But, oh my goodness. Every peak moment of this book. Amazing fight scenes, insane world building, great mysteries, like detective work. The magic system starts to really spread out and show like what it can really do. And the climax, holy crap, like the everything, the character work, like I wish I could reread this book like knowing nothing about it, cuz probably the best fantasy book I've read. I lied. Song for Arbonne is the best fantasy. Actually, you know what? I'm putting Song for Arbonne even above that. I keep lying to myself, but it's definitely S tier. That's for sure. This is This is the real fight. Is it better than Jade City? Barely. An unfair comparison because this is a sequel, so it's kind of building on everything from before, but who knows, the Jade City sequel might end up being above here, so we'll see. But yeah, Words of Radiance is fucking brilliant, man. And I think okay, that's it for my Goodreads, so now I can just go through what's left. Okay, Artemis Fowl. First fantasy series I ever read. I picked this up in grade 6, I think. I was really young when I read it, but I thought it was incredible. Don't ever watch the movie. It is. I've never been more angry than watching fucking the Artemis Fowl film just destroy what I loved. This book literally follows the antagonist. The main character is the fucking bad guy, but you love him anyway. It's a quick read. Also, I guess I'm going to encompass the whole series when I put this here, at least the ones I've read. I do have to realize that I'm probably looking at this series with rose-tinted glasses because as a kid I thought it was amazing, but who knows, if I reread it now I might not feel that way. So I think I'll just be safe. I'll put it probably in the middle of the pack B. I'll just put it right there. I thought it was fantastic, but again, this is 13-year-old Dano, so I got to take it with a bit of a grain of salt. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, the queen of science fiction, single-handedly invented science fiction with this book. Don't at me. This was like, how many years before? I'm trying to think. When was this written? Late 1800s, I believe. Let me see if I can find it in my list. Yeah. Where are you? 1818. What am I even talking about? Holy shit, this book is so early. Yeah, who knows where the world of science fiction would be if Mary Shelley didn't just decide to fucking take that trip to Lake Geneva and write this fucking book. There's
there's so little that I can say about it. I think that the way Frankenstein's been portrayed in modern media is horrendous. He's just looked at as just this monster, but this book is like, he's so philosophical and so like, it's so moving the way that he comes to understand his, simulated humanity. And Dr. Frankenstein himself is a piece of shit. And you realize that really quickly. Holy crap. Yeah, Frankenstein is something else. I have to put this in S tier. Like, this has to be... Ooh. Right there. Right there. I do realize, like, it's not perfect. It definitely has some issues, but, like, barely. I think I'm just making shit up now. I think I'm just trying to cope with the fact that this book might just be fucking one of the greatest of all time. Like, where would we be? Where would we be as science fiction fans without Frankenstein? Fucking nowhere. So, yeah. Insane. Epic of Gilgamesh, obviously an ancient classic, but I'm going to be honest, kind of fucking mid. As ancient classics go, like, Mahabharata's way better. Iliad is way better. I'll do that after. It is what it is. Epic of Gilgamesh is kind of whatever. Still better than Harry Potter, though, so put it there. The Iliad. I haven't read this since when I went to university that one time for 1 year. What an incredible... It's just a story about a big fucking battle. It's just about big macho dudes killing each other on the battlefield with help from various mythological Greek gods from their pantheon. And it honestly just rocks. Like, this book is just a dude's rock moment, the book. For being as old as it is, holding up. I love how, like, they talk shit to each other on the battlefield. Like, I love how descriptive the brutality is, and it's very heavily romanticized, obviously, but that's what makes it awesome. So, yeah, Iliad is just, like, an ancient classic that just really holds up. It is getting tough to place these, though. You know what? I'm going to move this. I don't think The Great Hunt is as good as Hitchhikers. But I would probably put the Iliad right about... no, I have to put it a little lower, I gotta be honest. Because it is, like, a rougher read. Right there. Yep. It's still A tier. Like, it's still fucking incredible. But it's just... I'm also looking at it, it's like, what would I rather read? I have to, like, compare it to all these fucking goats right here. Good Omens, Terry Pratchett, Neil Gaiman. Another absolute classic. I watched the first season of the TV series, and I loved it. And then I read the book, and I loved it. It was pretty much, like, the same thing. Do I even have any real problems with Good Omens? Not really. I think it's just solid. But let's see. I'm trying to speed it the fuck up. This video is gonna be so long. Let's put it here. I think that's fine. All right. So, The Hobbit. Internet, please don't shoot me. I say I love fantasy. I've actually never read Lord of the Rings. I've only got through a little bit of Fellowship. I was also very young, so I just maybe the prose might have been too much for me. I'll get to it at some point. I literally have a limited edition Lord of the Rings. It'll get read. But The Hobbit I have read, and I read when I was very young, and I read it again a few years ago. And it holds up, man. It really does hold up. It's a very simple guy on an adventure story. Just setting the archetype, setting the tone for the genre. I will put it...
I think I'll put The Hobbit right here, right in the middle of A. I think that's fine. Mort, another Discworld novel. One of the better ones. I don't know if it's like incredible, but it's just fun. Good premise. A kid is looking for an apprenticeship. Death is like, you can be my apprentice, and he just learns the ways of, separating people's souls from their body, and it's wholesome and funny, and honestly, like, dare I say, the best Death book, because Reaper Man and Soul Music weren't really it, for me, but Mort is a solid B tier book. I think I'll put Mort right there. That's Mort. Chronicles of Narnia. I'm counting the whole series. Also a bit of a retroactive review, because it's been like over a decade since I read these. I was a kid. I think they're solid. I think people shit on them a little much for the religious allegory, but I don't like. It's kind of heavy-handed, but I don't think it's like nearly as bad as people put it out to be. I think they're solid stories, all in all. Great for kids, to be honest, because there's some mature themes, but it's not so mature that like it's off-putting. Chronicles of Narnia. I don't think it's quite A tier. Where do I put you? Put you right there. Equal Rights, another Discworld, one of the weaker Discworlds, but it's got a good premise. It's about why do women have to be witches, and why can't women be wizards too? Equal rights. There's some solid themes and some good commentary. The plot is just kind of whatever though, but still very funny. I'll put it just above Reaper Man. I think I like Equal Rights a little bit more than Reaper Man. Okay, now we're getting to the best Discworld, Small Gods. Holy shit. It's standalone, so you don't have to read anything else. It takes place like in the distant past of Discworld. And it's a story about faith. It's about this follower of this god. This god gets smited into a tortoise form. And he is this kind of like evil, raging god, but he learns from one of his most devout disciples like what it actually means to be the real god that he is. And like, yeah, it's a beautiful critique of religion, specifically the institution of religions, and how the people use religion for their own gain, instead of just like being good people. And the main character's name is Brutha, Brutha, and he's kind of a dim-witted guy, but he's got just like this full heart, and it's just a beautiful story about like faith in a world where people weaponize religion, and it's just it's perfect. It's an S tier book for sure. Where in the S tier does it go though? Dare I say it's above Dune? I really think it is, man. Like, Small Gods is it's a must read. It's the first Discworld book I'll probably recommend in the same breath as Guards, but the philosophical angle of Small Gods is just so strong that it deserves that spot. World War Z, another book I haven't read in fucking forever. Do not compare this to the movie. It is so much better than the movie. So this book follows a bit of like an anthology format, where it's a bunch of short stories of, from the beginning of zombies to like as they start taking over the world more and more, from different perspectives, different parts of the world. And there's some like legitimately like hilarious moments, like the celebrity house. So a bunch of celebrities get together and they barricade themselves in this mansion, and they just are watching zombies just like eat people in New York and like laughing and having a good time until they eventually get stormed. And it's just
yeah, it's just such a reality check where it's like, zombies don't care about class. They're gonna eat you no matter what. But I really love World War Z. I think it's solid. It's hard to judge because it's been so long. I think I'll put it in A. I'll probably put it maybe just above Piranesi and before the Iliad. We'll put it right there. And last but not least, A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. The only Game of Thrones book I've read, the first one. I vowed that if he ever releases Winds of Winter, that I will drop everything I'm doing and just reread all of them. But for a first book, it's absolutely solid. Staple of the genre, subverting expectations, better than everyone else and before everybody else, I think. What is there to say about Game of Thrones? It's top shelf. I don't think it's S, though, which is crazy, but I really don't think it's S. I just think it's really, really good. I'm going to put it right there. All right, and that should be it. Let me see. Do I have to move anything around? I think C tier's fine. B tier. Just a quick. Nope, I think that's okay too. It's really the S tier that I gotta. Ooh, do I want to move this up? Yeah, just put it just above Frankenstein. I want to move Between Two Fires up, but I don't know if I can. I really don't. I think this is it. I think this is my tier list so far, and I'm stamping it. That's it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this fucking behemoth of a video, and more tier lists in the future.